All right, our first challenge working with line is going to be working with a curved line. Our tools are going to be a pencil, paper, and a Sharpie marker. The Sharpie markers that we have are twin-tipped, meaning they're bold on one end and they're very fine point on the other. We're going to be using the fine point end. All right, so let's talk through the steps. Step 1, turn your paper horizontally, lengthwise, or think of it as landscape is what a lot of terminology is used, so that it looks like it's going horizontally from left to right in front of you. You're going to draw a wavy, curved line that starts on one side of the paper or the other. If you're left-handed, right-handed, makes no difference. You start on whatever side of the paper, right or left, you want to, and you're going to make a curvy line that exits off the other side of the paper. The more you wave or wiggle the ups and downs of your curve, you'll have a little bit more of an interest visually starts to happen. If you have a very calm wave, you'll have some very long continuous lines to draw. So I will say it is a little bit easier to have more of the an extreme hump or curve going on in your lines. Step 2, we're going to put 3 to 5 dots on the pencil line. So kind of space them out from one side to the other, anywhere from 3 to 5 dots. Okay. At this point, after drawing the wavy line and the 3 to 5 dots, you're going to put the pencil away. We're done with it. Now you're going to get out the Sharpie fine point end of the marker. Okay. Step 3, we're going to kind of follow the leader. As I mentioned, you're now going to pick up the Sharpie and use the ultra fine point end. You're not going to draw on top of the pencil line, but you're going to draw right next to the line, stopping and touching at each of the dots as they come. Let's look at the pencil marks on this one. All right, you can see how I did not draw on the pencil line, right? I started from one side, say over here, and from the right side, and I follow that first line there right next to the pencil line, and I turned into the first dot. And then I hop back out of there and curve and follow the curve all the way around to the next dot, and I turn in to touch it. It's going to be important to turn in and drive back out, kind of like it's a driveway. So I'm kind of motoring along, following the line, and then I turn into the driveway dot. And then I back out and I turn back out onto the street and I keep going. Whatever's going to kind of help you remember to stop at each dot so you touch it. Okay? The goals that we have for this are up here in green. Our goal is to keep the lines neat so we don't have a lot of stops and starts. See if you can go from one dot to the other without as many stops. Smooth, clean lines. Try to resist any wobbles that might happen along the way. And consistent space between the lines. Now, as you get started, it's going to be a little kind of tough, like right here on this first hump over here on the left going upwards. It's a little tough here. That's kind of close, but the next line kind of went and wobbled down a little bit. You can see here where the little lines needed to stop, but they didn't get picked right back up in the exact same place. But the closer your spacing is, the more you're going to be able to hide it, the more we fill the page. Okay. You can flip the work over to the other side and start the same process again. So I flipped the paper over, and I can kind of come in over here on the right-hand side again And now I'm following the curve of the pencil again, following the pencil line, not drawing on it, but I'm stopping at each dot on this side. All right, if you do that for about 3 or 4 times, it starts to look a little bit like sausage links. Okay, or like someone who's parted their hair, you know. So you can kind of flip from one side to the other. Now, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Here we go. Here's this crazy finished project. Okay, once you begin to fill up a little bit of your space, a lot of the accidents and the wobbles and things start to get hidden. This is a close-up here of an area where the pencil and the pen, pardon me, couldn't go all the way around the hump. It had to stop somewhere. All right, because you don't want to draw with your wrist uncomfortable. But see how these two didn't quite match up. I went a little too quickly to get started again, and I didn't put my pen, boom, right there at the edge before I took off. Okay, so what you want to try and do is try not to have these little areas of crossovers. Try and limit some of those areas. I see there's one up here in the upper right-hand corner just a little bit as well, being really cautious of those. Notice that inside this loop, okay, from dot to dot over here, some of this could not continue to fill in. After a while, it started to get crowded, right? It started to get crowded and crowded and crowded until I couldn't go in and back out anymore. All right. Well, guess what? At that point, this right here where everything collides becomes your new point. So areas are going to close off. Let me zoom in here just a little bit. Doop, 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 doop. Okay. See how some of these areas closed off? This area in here, we could no longer go in and back out. Poof. They hit about right here. Okay. So then that meant as I came around again, I would just stop right there. And then I would keep going. And eventually I'd stop there. And then I would keep going and going. So I'm keep filling up my page, but I'm going to bump into some previous lines along the way. All right. I'm going to open up our rubric. Close that off so you can get an idea of what we're kind of asking and what we're going to do. Now, a rubric for this course looks similar to this. It will probably say different criterias and things, but there's always going to be a highlighted area where I ask you to give yourself points. The criteria for each one is kind of laid out into how many points you would get or earn. So be honest at looking at your finished work and fill out where you think you landed in the goals. Again, one of our goals was to keep smooth, consistent lines. Okay, how do you feel you did with that? Did you stop at each original dot or the new dot areas where lines may have merged and you couldn't get in anymore? Were your spacing of the lines even? And all directions, both verbal and written ones, were followed. And you get points for turning in the rubric, for taking a photo of your completed work. And there's a video up on YouTube and Schoology that show you how to do that. If we're in class, were you able to mount the artwork on black paper for us to display it? So if there is no rubric turned in at all, I take 5 points off automatically. So giving your feedback is very important for me to kind of get a feeling and sort of a dialogue that we have of where you feel that you landed with the challenge. All right, and then you'll notice there's a My Grade section off to the side where I take your thoughts and things in consideration of how you felt. Sometimes I might feel that you've gone a little bit harsh on yourself, and I'll let you know, like, golly, I didn't think that. So I'll leave my comments and notations as well. Always put your name and period at the bottom or the top, wherever it might be required on the rubric. All right. If you have any questions, as always, you can always email me, ask any questions you need to. Okay, so this document here is posted on Schoology. It is a PDF up there for you, and then this is a video walking through the PDF.